When looking at a list of issues, we basically use a standard list that we've developed over recent years, highlighting key issues and where the voters are on their concern. We ask first and second mention here, looking at so to get some more of the diversity of where voters are on the issues. They are obviously concerned about more than just one thing. When looking at the issues from this standpoint, you have economy and jobs on the first and second choice at 56%, healthcare cost at 35%, wars in Iraq and Afghanistan at 24%, kind of the top tier beyond the economy. Then you have kind of a grouping of third tier, which is illegal immigration at 13%, homeland security at 13%, education at 14%, taxes at 11%. And then gas and energy prices have dropped in recent months down to only 6%. The one thing I would point out, because we're doing a variety of polls across the country where we are not using this more structured list of issues, is wasteful government spending. We are seeing pop up in almost every one of our statewide surveys as the key issue. That is something you'll see me coming back to through the presentation as a key issue. Barack Obama's job approval, we have him dropping to the low 30s, 53% approving of the job he does, 42% disapproving. This is the first time we have his disapproval moving into the 40% column. But as importantly, under the surface, what we saw was on the strongly approve to strongly disapprove, you basically have the president at a 1-to-1 ratio with 40% strongly approving, 37% strongly disapproving. Certainly, this is out of the down from the very high numbers we were seeing in the early months of the Obama administration. Certainly, the very high numbers we saw between the election and him being sworn into office, and reality coming down to earth as he is governing. If you look at it from a party standpoint, again, there's going to be a lot of focus on the independent voters. Republicans are 18 to 78 approve to disapprove. Democrats are 90% approve, 6% disapprove, but independents are 42 to 50. And in fact, if you look at those independents, whether strongly approve to strongly disapprove, they're at 27 to 43. So that 8-point overall net disadvantage on job approval with independents when you move to the intensity goes to a 16-point difference. You see much of this driven by conservatives, 31% approve, 63% disapprove, moderates 62 to 29, and liberals at 88 to 10. One of the things we do in our surveys is we do not ask moderate. We ask, are you liberal or conservative, then very conservative or very liberal, to get more of an ideological spectrum. And so conservatives represent about 58% of this sample. Liberals are about 35%. We also looked demographically at how voters were on two other components. One was vote from the 2008 presidential race. We see some real intensity with the Obama voters, 91% approve, 5% disapprove. A little bit softer with the McCain voters, 13% approve, 82% disapprove. But when you look at the strongly approve to strongly disapprove, pretty well matches on both sides of the equation. 74% of Obama voters strongly approving, 73% of McCain voters strongly disapproving. There also is somewhat a gender gap, or as some would say, some would probably say a reverse gender gap between men and women. Men are at a 49 to 46 approve, disapprove, basically down now to a 1-to-1 ratio. Women are at 57 to 38. You see 41% of men strongly disapproving of Obama and 45% of women strongly approving of the president. A unique question that we ask, separate than favorability or image, what is the impression you have of, in this case, Barack Obama? Do you approve or disapprove of him as a person? Very high numbers. This is one of the things you have seen as a result of a honeymoon that has extended into the summer with the news media, not much critical analysis of what he was doing. that while as his policies are discussed, you see his job approval coming down, but the likability factor is extremely high. At 72% approving of Barack Obama as a person, only 21% disapproving. And if you look at this measurement in terms of past years, one of the highlights that we saw, highest points that we saw, was George W. Bush reached 80% right after the 9/11 attacks. So kind of putting it in perspective, this 72% is extremely high. One of the things from that we use for an internal analysis is looking at consistent approve, consistent disapprove, and what we call drop-off voters. Drop-off voters in this case are voters who disapprove of the job that the president is doing, but approve of him personally. And again, this may be a roadmap showing you where other groups may decline in terms of his favorability rating or his likability rating as more and more focus is put on policy. Looking at those drop-off voters with various groups, the things that jump up in the Midwest, a key area where the Republican Party has taken some very big hits in the last few elections. That 21% drop-off voter grows to 26%. Independent voters are at 26%. Female independents particularly are at 30%. Conservatives are at 30%. And that grows to 33% for those that are somewhat conservative. So they have not moved necessarily to disapproving of him, but there is an inherent weakness there. Again, these are many of the groups that were soft during the 2008 election and may in fact be the turning point for Barack Obama on his presidency, whether he is seen favorably or unfavorably.